The content of this podcast is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended as, nor should it be considered a substitute for professional medical advice.
Hello, this is Karen Nickel, family nurse practitioner, and you are listening to Itchy and Bitchy, a podcast that provides answers to your many unanswered health questions. I have spoken to many of you listeners out there about the comprehensive online course I have created to help address the symptoms that so many women experience in their 30s, 40s, and early 50s. And it has been such a joy to get to know some of you wonderful people. I would love to have the opportunity to talk to more of you about the course to see if it's the right fit for you. There is a link on our website, itchyandbitchy.com, and our Facebook page, I&B Podcast, where you can schedule an appointment for a Zoom call with me. Again, this is a Zoom call with me. It is not a webinar. When you make an appointment, I will be sitting at my desk waiting for you to join the one-on-one Zoom call. I want to give a shout out to Veggie Girl Robin for sharing her review of Itchy and Bitchy on Apple Podcast. She says, I love this combo of science and humor. Thank you. I recently found this podcast, so I started from the beginning and I'm working my way through to the present. Love it. Thank you, Veggie Girl Robin, for listening to and reviewing the podcast. We love hearing from our listeners. Since we are all trying to beat the heat this summer, I thought that reviewing information about heat exhaustion and heat stroke would be helpful to all of our Itchy and Bitchy listeners. Heat is the number one cause of death due to weather-related events. Heat causes more death than hurricanes, wind, floods, lightning, cold, rip currents, and tornadoes. We are seeing more and more heat-related deaths as our planet heats up. So what happens to us when the human body is exposed to extreme heat? As you know, the body is an amazing organism, and it has two important ways to cool down when your body has extreme heat exposure. The first mechanism is sweat. Sweat glands on the skin secrete sweat, and when it evaporates off the body, it cools the skin down. I'm sure many of you have experienced this benefit. Increased blood flow is the second mechanism. The brain redirects blood flow from the core of the body to the skin, where heat can be released. The evaporating sweat helps cool the blood in the skin, and that cooled blood is recirculated into the internal organs and cools down the body core. There are two factors that can disrupt this natural cooling process in your body. First, when the temperature outside your body is hotter than your skin temperature, which is around 95 degrees. So if the temperature outside is over 95 degrees or inside is over 95 degrees, your skin will take in heat versus releasing heat into the atmosphere. Also, if it's too humid, the sweat on your skin can't evaporate to provide cooling, so the body no longer has that cooling mechanism. So what does your body do when these processes are no longer working because it's too hot or too humid or both? The heart works a lot harder because the heart rate increases in an effort to push more blood out to the skin to cool the body. However, when this happens, the blood pressure drops because as the blood gets pushed to the wider surface area of the skin to provide that cooling, the blood pressure gets weaker and weaker as it gets moved out to further areas of the body. The drop in blood pressure is a common cause of injuries because people get dizzy or lightheaded when they sit up or stand up when the blood pressure is low. And dizziness is an early sign of the body overheating. The increased heart rate can really tax the heart. So if someone has a pre-existing heart condition, it can be fatal. Heat exhaustion, otherwise known as heat stress, is the first problem that can begin when getting overheated. And during heat exhaustion, the internal temp in the body rises to 100 up to 103 degrees. And the symptoms that occur in heat exhaustion include fatigue and poor muscle function. These are early symptoms, and they're messages from your brain to tell you to rest and cool down. Find a shady spot, find some air conditioning, sit down and rest. The other symptoms of heat exhaustion include nausea, feeling faint or having a sense that you're going to black out, sweating profusely from many areas of the body, moist, cool, or cold skin coupled with goosebumps, even in extreme heat, a pulse rate that becomes weak or rapid, headache, and muscle cramping. I have a dear friend who had many of these symptoms last summer. The most concerning for her was a severe headache. She went to her doctor's office to find out what was going on. They did some blood work. One of the tests was an inflammatory marker called CRP, C-reactive protein, and that was quite elevated. They weren't sure what was going on, and so no diagnosis was made or treatment initiated. When she didn't have answers and was quite concerned about the symptoms, she called me. When she told me what she was experiencing, I said that what she described was consistent with heat exhaustion. I asked her about her activities prior to the onset of her symptoms, and she said she had played pickleball for several hours during the heat of the day. I instructed her to increase her hydration to an amount that is half her body weight in ounces of fluid. So, as an example, if someone is 150 pounds, that means 75 ounces of fluid a day. I also told her to include electrolyte drinks containing sodium as part of her fluid replacement. I often recommend Nuun sports tabs, that's spelled Nuun sports tabs, that contain roughly 15 calories and 2 grams of carbohydrates, 13 milligrams of calcium, 300 milligrams of sodium, 150 milligrams of potassium, 25 milligrams of magnesium, and 40 milligrams of chloride in each tab. Most sports drinks are high in sugar and don't contain sodium, which is a key electrolyte to replace if you're sweating a lot. So Nuun sports tabs are a good option. In addition to hydrating, I told her to stay in air conditioning to avoid heat exposure and to rest her body by avoiding exercise. I also instructed her to use ice packs to her neck, forehead, and/or wrists. She implemented all of those measures and recovered within a day. She was advised by me to report to the ER if her symptoms didn't resolve with these measures, since heat exhaustion can easily progress to heat stroke, which is a medical emergency. I also reviewed with her ways to avoid heat exhaustion in the future, including hydrating before, during, and after exercise, and to watch for early signs and symptoms of the body overheating when she is participating in outdoor exercise during hot weather, or avoid outdoor exercise altogether when the outdoor temperature is greater than her skin temp of 95 degrees Fahrenheit. If she experiences these symptoms of heat exhaustion in the future, I told her to take the following measures. Cool the body down by moving to a shady area or to a place with air conditioning. Of course, stop the exercise if you're exercising or whatever activity. Drink water or a beverage with electrolytes like Nuun tabs, which you can just drop into your bottle of water and that will help you hydrate. If possible, have someone else bring you a drink while you rest. If you're wearing tight, confining clothing, loosen or remove it. Remove heavy clothing or accessories, and apply ice packs or towels soaked in cold water to your body, placing these on your forehead, your wrists, the back of your neck, or under your arms. Those can be particularly effective places for cooling the blood. Coming up after this break, I will discuss the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Stay with me. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Yogi Berra was a Hall of Fame baseball player who was also famous for his yogiisms, one of which was, quote, "When you come to a fork in the road, take it." Have you ever received clear as mud advice like that from friends or family? Sometimes decision making can be very difficult, and your friends and or your family members may not be the best at providing guidance. We all have to make big decisions at different times in our lives, and many times the choices that are presented to us don't have a clear answer. Therapy can assist you in this process by giving you ways to learn how to confidently navigate life and help you move forward with the decision-making process. I can tell you that therapy has given me important tools that have been key in providing clarity when I have come upon one of life's many forks in the road. If you are thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. If you think you don't have the time in your schedule for therapy, please consider this. BetterHelp is entirely online, so it's convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/itchy today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/itchy. Welcome back, everyone. As promised, I'm going to talk to you about the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. The body does a really good job to try to cool you off, but if these mechanisms to cool down start to fail, the body temperature continues to rise. As I mentioned before, heat exhaustion occurs when the body temperature is 100 to 103 degrees Fahrenheit. Heat stroke occurs when the body temperature reaches 104 degrees Fahrenheit. At this point, multi-organ failure can happen. It's serious business. The organs that are affected first are the heart, kidneys, gut, and brain. You know, your heart is pumping very hard to help cool you off. And as the heart rate increases, I mentioned before that the blood pressure drops, and as a result, oxygen is not getting to the organs, including the heart itself. The kidneys are impacted because the brain sends a signal to the body to send less blood to the kidneys to slow the dumping of liquid via urine in order to preserve as much liquid as possible. But the kidneys begin to fail due to the reduced blood flow, resulting in reduced oxygen to the kidneys. In an effort to cool your skin, blood is diverted from the gut, decreasing oxygen to the gut. And when that happens, the gut starts to fail and leaky gut occurs, which is when bacteria leaks from the gut, and it can cause sepsis, which is an infection all over your body because the infection occurs in the bloodstream. Once the brain is affected, things get really dire. The body's internal thermometer is in the part of the brain called the hypothalamus. Once this part of the brain is infected, the cooling mechanism message from the brain shuts down and the body temperature continues to rise. The skin gets clammy and cool and delirium begins. The fastest way to cool people off in this situation when someone's got heat stroke symptoms is to give them an ice bath. And this is what they use in the ER to cool people down, a modified ice bath. Some people may be concerned that it could be dangerous to do something that causes a rapid drop in body temp, but the overheating of the body is more dangerous than the rapid cooling treatment. The best thing to do is to cool the body down as fast as possible, and an ice bath will do just that. If you are helping someone who has symptoms of heat stroke, you can provide body cooling using the techniques recommended by UpToDate. UpToDate is an evidence-based, physician-authored clinical knowledge system that is frequently updated and used by many clinicians, including myself, to help provide the appropriate care for their patients. So, if you are helping somebody with heat stroke, the first thing to do is to contact emergency medical services immediately. Before starting an ice bath, assess the person's airway and circulation. Make sure they are breathing and have a pulse. Move that person to a shaded area. Half fill a tub or a wading pool with water and ice. Ice should cover the surface of the water at all times. So you should have floating ice over the entire surface of the water at all times. Cover as much of the body as possible, but not the head, with ice water. If complete coverage is not possible, cover the torso as much as possible. We want to get to that core of the body. Keep the neck and head above the water and place a towel soaked in ice water over the head and neck while the body is being cooled. Do not block the airway. Keep the towel off the nose and the mouth. You want to vigorously circulate the water throughout the cooling process. So stir the water around while you're cooling this person. If ice water immersion is not feasible, given the constraints of the environment, if you're in a place where that just is not possible, you don't have a tub, you don't have a wading pool, then cool the person using the best available means. These may include any of the following 3 methods. One is to fill a cooler with ice, water, and 12 towels. Place 6 icy wet towels all over the person's body, leaving them in place for 2 to 3 minutes. Then place those back into the cooler and replace them with the other 6 towels that have been in the cooler. Continue this rotation every 2 to 3 minutes. Again, don't put the towels over the nose and mouth. The other option is to douse the patient continuously with cold water using a shower or a hose. The third option, if ice is available but no tub, place the person in a tarp or a sheet, cover the person with a large amount of ice, and then wrap the tarp or sheet around them. Replenish the ice as soon as the moderate degree of melting occurs. Remember to keep the tarp or the sheet off the nose or mouth to make sure the airway is clear. I will put all this information on our website, itchyandbitchy.com, as a blog. So if you want to review it, it will be there. So who is at highest risk for this happening? Adults age 65 or older, because they just don't sweat as much as younger people, and they tend to have decreased blood flow due to age and some health conditions. So the cooling mechanism of pushing blood flow to the skin doesn't work as well. Older adults who are physically fit have bodies that can cool down more than those elderly people who are not fit. So routine exercise to stay fit will help protect you in the heat. Those who have a physical job that requires strenuous activities or wearing heavy protective clothing in hot environments are at higher risk. Many factory workers work in buildings lacking air conditioning, and they often wear heavy clothing. Those who participate in strenuous sports outside in the heat, like long-distance running, or football players who practice in the summer and are wearing heavy gear. People who have obesity are at higher risk, or if you have a bad sunburn, because the skin just doesn't function right with a sunburn. Also, people who take certain medications, such as diuretics, which are designed to eliminate fluid from the body, beta blockers, which slow the heart rate so blood can't be redirected from the core to the skin as well, or people who take antihistamines, which have a drying effect on the body. So can we adapt to the new normal of hot temperatures? Are we going to be able to adapt to our changing world? Well, there is some research that shows the human body can adapt to heat. Researchers basically see this in extreme athletes who do long endurance exercise in high temperatures. Those people start their cooling mechanisms earlier, and their cardiac fitness allows the heart to more efficiently do what is needed to cool the body. So, it is possible to adapt physically, but not realistic to think that all people can do this, that all people can be athletes, extreme athletes who do a lot of endurance training in high heat. We can't change the weather, and our planet is getting hotter and hotter. However, there are some practical behavioral methods we can implement to reduce the risk for heat exhaustion when it's hot outside. Stay in a cool place when the heat index climbs. If you don't have air conditioning at home, find out if there's a cooling center in your area. Also, public libraries, malls, and movie theaters are usually air conditioned and may provide some relief during the hottest parts of the day. Never, never, ever leave a child or a baby or a pet in a hot car, even for a few minutes. Don't do it. Temperatures in cars can rise rapidly. Wear lightweight and light-colored clothing. Dark colors attract and absorb heat, which can increase your body temperature. I really need to listen to this advice because I wear a lot of black. It was all those years of living in New York City, but I'm going to change my ways. Even better than just getting light-colored clothing and lightweight clothing, get that clothing that has high UPF to protect you from UV rays as well. Wear a lightweight sun hat if you're going to be in the sun. Keeping the sun off your head and face can help control your body temperature. Wear sunscreen when in the sun to avoid sunburn. Stay hydrated when it's hot outside. Your body can become dehydrated before you even notice signs. Keep a bottle of water with you and drink from it frequently. You can also keep something like Noon tabs, as I discussed earlier, to drop into your water bottle to provide electrolyte replacement when you're sweating. When it's hot outside, limit outdoor workouts to early morning or dusk, or consider joining a gym that has air conditioning. Swimming, which I love, is also a great way to get exercise when it's hot outside. As I said earlier, our world is heating up and we are seeing more and more heat-related deaths. So please, please keep yourself and your loved ones safe by using these measures so you can enjoy the warm weather months and prevent a heat stroke tragedy. Many thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode. I encourage you to visit our Facebook page, IMB Podcasts, where you can leave comments or questions for me. Our website is itchyandbitchy.com. There are blogs on our site with some of our subjects available for you to read. As I mentioned earlier, I will put the ice bath methods in a blog for you to review. On the Facebook page and website, we have the information about how to schedule an appointment with me. It's not a webinar, with me, so we can chat about how my perimenopause course can help you if you are going through this phase in life. As always, thanks to Forrest Wenzel, our producer and our composer of our theme music, and the person who does everything behind the scenes. Thank you, thank you. Check out his album called An Awful Lot. Go to wherever you stream your favorite music to listen. And if you do not know where to stream music, you can find the album on Apple Music or Spotify. Remember, your health is in your hands.